Good afternoon. Normally, keynote used to be the first sessions, and I have just been told by Vinod that I stand between you and tea, and you have been locked up from 2 o'clock. Is it? So I'll make it very short and sweet in terms of what we wanted to share. And let's have a quick look at what is it that I've been asked to speak. There is a lot of views that are happening around what is happening in the world today. And maybe 5 years back, 10 years back, 15 years back, if this topic had been given, it would have been true at that point of time also. So what defines marketing success in today's connected world, in this new world? And what's happening in this new world to start with? The old world is all about storytelling, and the new world is all about tech. And that's what we see as the big difference when it comes to the old world and new world in the marketing era. What are the intersections that define success in this kind of old world and the new world? When we look at it, if you see the context of what's happening, when we started working maybe 30 years back, we were told the job of marketing is to generate demand. And that's where it stopped. Today, the job of marketing is being defined as not only to generate demand, fulfill that demand. And maybe it started with the media catalog, mail ordering catalog that happened long time back. Maybe it didn't see progress because of the difficulties at that time. But today with technology, what we see is the same thing which was started off as a catalog-based ordering has suddenly changed into an ability for the marketer to go ahead and fulfill the demand that he or she is supposed to generate. And that's a big change that we see because of this technology. In addition, currently as we speak, you see a lot of these changes that are happening. There's a change in the political atmosphere, there is a change in the economy, there is a change in the society, and all these things change the consumer behavior. And in addition, there is a huge change in the technology, and this is putting a lot of people like us on the edge in terms of understanding what is the import of all these and how it is going to impact our lives. Let's take a first look at the changes that are happening in the world per se. I'll have nothing in my slide, so you'll have to always look at me. So it's only a cue for me to speak on that. You will see two contrasting things happening in the world today. One is a huge level of uncertainty, and other contrasting side is the extreme high level of optimism. When you see the uncertainty, if you see 5 years, 7 years, 10 years back, it was all the left wokeism, and we didn't know about the word wokeism at that time. And today it's the right side of the wokeism. And this has actually changed many governments today. And the way people see this definitely has an impact. COVID made a big change in the way in which we all behave as a society. So there is a fear that happened, and there is a consumption that happened post that in terms of what people went ahead and started spending as if there is no tomorrow. You have conspicuous consumption which was pushed when India started liberalizing, and today we have conscious consumption that's happening. People are talking about sustainability and other stuff. There's a huge amount of uncertainty that is happening because of tech. Everybody is talking about AI as innovation. Gen AI is obviously something which we will talk about. And there is also this fear of losing jobs because of all this stuff and because of this automation, which is on the other side of the spectrum. You have all these things. There is an aspirational middle class in India. What was considered a pyramid-shaped structure in India, today you have a diamond-shaped structure with a huge amount of population on the mass affluent segment, which banks like us are very interested in serving. And their aspirations are becoming limitless. We actually had more than 25 million cards introduced in the last 3 years. It shows the kind of spending power suddenly that has come into this world. If I look at this, if this kind of political, social world upheaval is happening, what is one constant that has been there across all this stuff? And I was inspired by the book Same as Ever by Morgan Housel. And he talks about something which is always constant over a period of all these kind of changes. And if you look at what is that particular constant, we see there is fear, which is always a constant. There is an optimism about what is going to happen and how we will partake in that. And there is always an adaptation that happens. So as marketeers, what is the role that we can play? Can we reduce this fear for our consumers? Can we stoke this optimism for our consumers? Can we ensure our consumers adapt what is happening to the benefit of them? How do we serve them? So if you look at the context of the world, you see a change, but you also see many constants that are there. If I look at the Indian consumer, this is a clean market in motion. It's not normal to see these kind of things that happened. You have more than huge number of consumer base which has come in, which has become suddenly consumers of everything digital today, which was not the case 10 years back. The ability to consume has increased manifold because of what happened. Yesterday I was going back home around 10:30, skipping the match in between. There are only 45 people in my building, and as I'm entering the security, there are 7 people from Zomato, Swiggy waiting to enter the building. And as I was walking towards the lift, another 7 people I saw getting out. That's a kind of consumption that's happening in terms of what was not there maybe 5 years back. This change in behavior, mostly aided by COVID here and the affluence that has come into the country prior to that, has made many things which are not seen before coming today. The first theme that we see is hyper-personalization. What was hyper-personalization from a communication perspective? Now it is on the product side. If you have to ask me, give me the name of a soft drink, I'll say Coke, Pepsi, Thumbs Up. But see the number of D2C brands on the soft drink side. See the number of D2C brands on the apparel side. See the number of D2C brands on beauty. Products can be personalized is something which the consumers are demanding today. And that's a kind of change you see. Seamless omni-channel experience is considered a given today. What was available physically, people take it digital, whether it is the telecom industry, which I come from, previous to the banking. We had people who launched mobile phones only on the digital side. Today, they are also on the physical side. But very clearly physical industries, Decathlon, IKEA, they are all moving on to the digital side, and you can't expect that you can go ahead and order a Decathlon and pick it up in the store or do the same thing with IKEA. So these kind of spaces are now getting merged together. The third is the social media. And I was told MX Player was here, and how many above 40 would know MX had more than 1 billion downloads? And today suddenly OTT made content personalization possible. So you had a product personalization, you have a content personalization, and multiple things have been enabled because of this technology. In spite of all this stuff, what is constant? If you see, consumers still are rooted and they're looking at 3 things. One is safety, second, status, and third, anything which will give them their curiosity. So as a brand manager, as a marketing manager, can you provide products, services, experience that take care of their needs for safety, that provides them their status and will quench their thirst for curiosity? If consumer is in motion, what is it that we can do looking at the old world values of all these stuff, what are rooted in the behavior of them? Technology. This is the second shift which we have seen. Technology has been changing right from the time steam engine happened maybe 200 years back. Then electricity happened, technology changed. Today's Gen AI is obviously hurting a lot of people in terms of their sleep, typically not yet in the jobs yet. What is this difference that we all see? This is called as a platform level change, like what happened in the world when internet came about, when computers came about, or when mobile came about. New industries got created and old industries got modeled differently based on these three things. And Gen AI is expected to do the same thing when it comes to new wave technology. What is it that Gen AI NLP is going to do? There won't be any more call centers maybe 2 years down the line. We have a huge amount of people working in call centers in India. There may not be any more call centers. NLP Gen AI agent can really do the job. This is like-to-like replacement. Imagine what can these people do if you look at the edge cases of all these technologies can do. We have a lot of companies in the D2C world as well as in the digital world which say that I have a product or a service to offer. I also have a lot of traffic in my properties and I will monetize this traffic. For monetization of traffic, you need the eyeballs to come onto that screen. Imagine if I have to do something and I have an agentic Gen AI which I can instruct to do that. What will happen to those eyeballs? What will happen to the people who design the UI of these? So you're looking at something which is going to change the way in which the behavior of certain industries are going to happen. This is the power that we are all seeing in terms of how it is going to do. Today, advertising, filmmaking, music, education, all of these are going to change dramatically because of this. And I'll talk a little bit more in the next 5 minutes. But whenever any technology changes have happened, what has been constant? What has been constant is there is an excitement, there is a greed which comes with that for a certain set of people, and there is a skepticism which comes, and there is also some fear associated with all these stuff. So you have all these old world values still there, whether it was steam engine, whether it was electricity, whether it is motor car, or whether it is Gen AI, all these common factors are there. Now, as a marketer, what are you going to do to look at all these 4 common factors and how are we going to leverage this technology to make sure that what we are good at, the human oversight, how are we going to embellish that using all these stuff? If there is a change in the consumer world, if there is a change in the technology world, and if there is a change in the society, obviously the marketer is on the edge. Because how do we bridge this consumer tech and the society upheaval that's happening, and what is it that I need to do in my job? Consumers are demanding hyper-personalization, which means the silos within our organizations will not work. Your call center is different, your digital experience team is different, your customer experience team is different, the process team is different. That's not going to work anymore. Seamless experiences, how are we going to deliver going forward? If personalization is going to go ahead and be the nature of what people are asking for, the tech can also help you. So today you see the tech is coming in and programmatic trading was the way in which we all made a lot of money, and people who did not use programmatic trading did not do well. Programmatic trading is moving towards programmatic advertising, and we do see programmatic marketing is going forward becoming a reality. If you do not have cookies, in the cookieless world, how are we going to leverage first-party data? What are we going to do about it? Are you going to go ahead and create that first-party data for us to give the hyper-personalized content and the service and the product that people are looking for? Many tasks will get automated. Sure, with the change in the consumer behavior and the technology that is making it available. But one thing that is going to be there consistent, again, is the requirement for creative work and the human need for novelty. That's not going to change. You might use tech, you might use changing consumer behavior to serve them in a different way, but what is going to be constant is going to be the need to have creative work as well as the need to have novelty in what we do. Summarizing, if you have to adopt to what comes next, yes, all these things will lead to collateral damages. Without doubt. When autopilot and avionics happened, there were a lot of jobs which became redundant in the airline industry. And my uncle was a master warrant officer in Indian Air Force, and he used to be a radio operator. And he had traveled in more flights than most of the people in the room. And today, you don't see a radio operator there. You don't see a navigation specialist there inside the aircraft. It has all been subsumed under pilot and a co-pilot. And they control everything on the screen, whereas 5 people used to fly a plane in the early days. So this is going to happen. The new age technology is going to also make a lot of jobs redundant. But it will also create newer jobs. That's for sure. Those who don't adapt will perish, that we all know. The same technology that is having the ability to create multiple amounts of creatives and multiple amount of communication and multiple narratives can actually be used to serve the need of the hyper-personalization the consumers have. So one side, hyper-personalization is a need is thriving. Other side, the technology is enabling us to serve that need. The omni-channel experience that we are talking about, the same technology can be used to provide that omni-channel experience. We can automate to scale most of the things that consumers are looking for today to be served at their time of need. Our role as stewards, our role as brand custodians will continue to remain irrespective of what happens in all these spaces. Authenticity will continue to play the most important role in the way in which we behave. One example of what we have done in HDFC Bank is this. Obviously, we had the ability to personalize on the digital side. How do we actually go ahead and personalize on the physical side when you have an interaction across the counter? You don't have to look at multiple screens. You just have to ask your consumer to go ahead and scan this QR code. What it does, you can try it. You log in with a mobile number and an OTP, and all your personalized offers are visible on the screen as a consumer. And moment you do that, this QR code is embedded with the LG, the lead generation code or the employee code, and automatically the employee gets an SMS immediately, instantaneously, saying these are the offers available for Vinod, if you're sitting in front of Vinod. That allows the conversation to be very personalized, very, very human at the end of the day. So what we can do digitally, we can also take it to the physical world. To summarize, if so much is happening and if there is an intersection, humans have the ability to adapt, survive and thrive. And I had this photograph, and I'm sure all of you are aware of this photograph. What it signifies to me is the most famous intersection, or the best example of an intersection, is this on the left hand side. And what this intersection is doing is to enable continuation of this world. So if you see tech, if you see all the disturbances that are happening, all the disruption that are happening as one side, as the yin, you see the consumer behavior changing and the demand of the consumers as the yang on the other side. The union of these two, the ability to adapt, the ability to survive, the ability to thrive, depends only on how well you are getting the union of the two together. If we make authenticity and empathy the cornerstone of what we do as marketeers, I'm 100% sure we can leverage the disruption that's happening on the technology. We can look at the consumer change that's happening in terms of their behavior, in terms of their needs, in terms of their aspiration. We can bring it together as what this image tells us all to do. Thank you.